Welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigeria. I am your host, Daniel Atai. Good afternoon and welcome to Spectacle program on Television Nigerian. I am always your host, Daniel Atai, and today we'll be looking at Inec to conduct local government election or state independent electoral commission. Very soon the lines will be open for you to contribute your own opinion as regard what you understand by this particular topic today. Before we go on, I would like to, give a preamble towards this particular topic, as it is in our constitution. Now, Electoral Commission is the body saddled with the responsibility of organizing and conducting election in a state. In most countries, they are usually constituted by the executive head of the country. But analysts, as well as the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, explain an electoral commission as a non-partisan body which determines election procedures and district boundaries and oversees the conduct of elections. The above definitions explain an electoral commission from the perspective of its major functions in any clime. But more importantly, it explains it as an apolitical institution. Its neutrality must not be faulted on any ground by the major electoral stakeholders. So, anytime the opposite is the case, the election it conducts will lose credibility. In Nigeria, at the federal level, we have the Independent National Electoral Commission, Inec. At the state level, it is known as State Independent Electoral Commission. This shows that Nigeria operates a bi-electoral commission system. The military regime will not forget in a hurry of General Olusegun Obasanjo embarked on a local government reform in 1976. The reform revolutionized local government administration in the country and accorded it an official recognition as the third tier of government. The reforms sought to address the role, the content of the system of local government, which hitherto merely served as an appendage and extension of the existing local government. Some of the major features of the 1976 local government reforms include the following. 1. The creation of more local government areas in Nigeria, with the provision that any local government can create subordinate local councils that must derive their power, revenue, and personnel from the parent local government. 2. Introduction of elective principle into local government administration in the country. This study considers this as the most remarkable reform. And 3. Local governments were to be financed by both the federal and the local government council itself and not state. Then 4, exclusion of traditional rulers in the administration of local government councils. They were to perform consultative and advisory roles in the new dispensation then. The reform also made provisions for the establishment of traditional councils which were authorized to deal with all chieftaincy and cultural matters within the local government area. And the current local government system is predicted on the 1976 reform, although the 1979 and the 1999 constitutions have given official recognition to local government administration in the country. They have also defined it in clear terms, the structure and the functions of local government councils. But our interest today is the aspect relating to local government polls, a system of election in the country. Section 3 Part 2 of the third schedule of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria makes provision for the establishment of SIEC, which is the State Independent Electoral Commission, while Section 4 of the Constitution defines the powers of the SIEC as 1. To organize, undertake, and supervise all elections to local government councils within the state. 2. To render such advice as it may consider necessary to the Inec on the compilation of and the register of voters insofar as the registers is applicable to local government elections in the above provisions. Which means whatever the Inec, the SIEC, will do within the state, it is still tantamount or subject to certain approvals and consideration from the Inec. So the role of this of the SIEC is also to organize and conduct elections into local government councils. This, unlike the Inec that has the responsibility to organize and conduct elections at both federal and state levels. However, Inec remains the superior electoral mobilization and monitoring body because SIEC still avails itself of the voter registration prepared by it, but operation-wise, it does not perform any regulatory functions over SIEC. And what this portends is that each of them, though, enjoy high degree of independence. Furthermore, while the federal government has constitutional power to constitute the membership of Inec as contained in Section 154 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the same power is bestowed on the state governors for the composition of SIEC as contained in Section 3 of Part 2 of the same Constitution. Unlike Inec that has an organizational structure mainly composed of chairman and national commission, SIEC is made up of a chairman and not less than 5 but more than 7 other persons. Section 3, Part 2 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria stipulates that same SIEC, that is the State Inec Electoral Commission, would present voters registration, political parties, and aspirants that have been accredited to conduct or to aspire for electoral positions to the Independent National Electoral Commission. And it must certify that the body, which is SIEC at the state level, must be very, very apolitical and have no political affiliation with either the ruling party of the state or any affiliation whatsoever. Well, with me in the studio, without wasting time because of time, to analyze this is a comrade in the struggle, a honorable and a reputable, political and social analyst, Kenneth Angbo. Kennedy Angbo, you are welcome to Spectacle.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Dan.
So now, the essence of this preamble is to look into the conduct of local government elections in Nigeria. Just in December last year, which is 2019, the National Assembly made a move that they want to empower Inec to oversee, and I think it's a policy, though it has not been established by law from the National Assembly, but is a policy that the president declared that Inec would oversee, the conduct of election, local government election across the 774 local government areas in Nigeria. Today, most state governors, or let me say state government, have what we call state independent electoral commissions for the conduct of local government election as a tier of its own. What would you see when you compare the state, the SIEC, and the Inec in the conduct of election? Though this section, section 15, empowers Inec to conduct election for Mr. President, state governors, houses of assembly, and a national assembly. But that power is not given to Inec to oversee the third tier of government, which is the local government. Will you think that elections conducted by SIEC all the while have been very, very transparent and apolitical, regardless of whatever?
Well, thank you for the question, and thank you for inviting me here.
Mm.
I think that laws are dynamic in nature.
Mm-hmm.
They are not static, just as society is never static. Societies evolve. And we've made some progress as it relates to election matters, politics, and all that. But in the last, but as it relates to INEC and SIEC, we have not gotten it right. Yeah. And I will explain. Because there are too many contradictions involving SIEC and INEC. And so the idea is actually for INEC to monitor the activities of SIEC.
Yes.
But unfortunately, that is not what it is. And so you have state electoral bodies that are supposed to conduct elections unbiased, but then they are heavily tilted towards the ruling party part-time in any state. Yeah. And so you see typically where you have a PDP government in power, they sweep all the local polls from councillors all the way to the chairman. And where you see another party, you see APC, you see ABGA, the same thing applies. And that tells you that we have not evolved.
So APC does the same too.
Listen, the truth of the matter is that it is exactly how it is couched. We have not properly done it to a point where it should be independent.
Yes.
And so the fear, and which is why even the crafters of our constitution are not trying to amend it. Okay. Because they have seen the evil in it. And so the same National Assembly that had given, because it's the National Assembly that makes the law.
Yes.
Even though we are hinging the basis for local government to 1976 reform carried out by Obasanjo.
Yes.
Other than that, it is still the National Assembly, and I fought the National Assembly for taking this long. 20 years, 21 years into democracy for us to begin to think out with this. I think I fought the National Assembly, and I will tell you exactly why it's been so. If you see the evolution of politicians from the grassroots level that leads all the way to our National Assembly, it's been heavily tilted by the governors of their states. Yeah. If you remember, one of the reasons why we have had to deal with this issue of local government autonomy is the fact that the state executives are in full control of the local governments. So even when something is supposed to be for the benefit of the people who make law, they still go against that same thing that is supposed to benefit them. But I want to salute the courage of this 9th Assembly for being able to look at these issues frontally and say we want to deal with it. To start with, why should you call anybody independent and then there's no independence of that body? As we speak, all the state independent electoral commissions are in full are under the control of the governors. And so you see party men fully in charge of the state.
Okay.
I'll give you an example of Benue State, for example. Benue State, they removed the man who was there because he's believed to be an independent mind. And so
apolitical,
like
the Constitution says.
Like the Constitution says.
And that means that if aspirants or parties, opposition parties, have evidence of the SIEC participating or affiliating with the ruling party.
So let me tell you this. The man who was the chairman of BSEC, Benue State Independent Electoral Commission, was removed because he's seen not to be a man who will dance the tune of the governor of the state. But what we now see is that a PDP member has been appointed to be the chairman of Benue State Electoral Commission. And all the constituted members are also members of, card-carrying members of PDP.
You have evidence of
and
that?
I have evidence of that, and I can tell you that. And so because of that, those of us who are vying for, people who are vying for political position are making the case that INEC needs to take control of that system. Because what you would see is truly the fact that everybody who is from the PDP. I mean, I can explain to you what happened during their primaries.
No. Yeah, some quarters said there were no primaries at all. But don't you think that the APC administration, under the same governor that you referred to, Governor Samuel Atom, did the same thing by clearing the whole polls? The whole polls from the councillors to the chairman and what have you.
What happened in that last local government election you're talking about?
Yes.
Was that there was an internal crisis among PDP members. Remember that there were two factions.
Okay.
There was the McCarthy faction. There was also the Alimodu Sharif faction.
Okay.
And the factions went to court against themselves.
Okay.
And they had their own Waterloo because the party was not in harmony. And so for that reason, that was why APC at that time, when the governor was in APC, that was why they declared everything. Not because it was an APC person that led the process. Okay. But in this case, let me tell you what's happened.
Okay, it was all PDP affairs.
It was all PDP against itself.
Against itself.
At that time.
Okay.
But now the governor is in PDP. There is also APC, ABGA, and other parties that are going to participate, SDP and the rest. But as it is right now, we heard the governor, and he's on record, where the governor went for a burial, and he said that the local government election that is coming up, that no political party should think of even winning a state, that is premeditated. It's on record. We can give you that evidence.
Okay.
Where the governor is boasting that not a single councillor will go to any party other than his party. And it tells you that clearly the man has told the world that he is muzzling the process. And we are calling on INEC to put an eye on the process. We are calling on the world to also look at what is going on there.
Now, how do you call on INEC and how do you call on the world? Because from the section we quoted and even the section 7 of the 1999 Constitution that gives the local government a system of an impetus, that is a kind of absolute independence to deal with its affairs. And like the reform of the 1976 during OBJ that gave the electoral monitoring body that is from the federal, they conduct the elections across the local government and nothing like SIEC, State Independent Electoral Commission. Now, if you want to make a case, is it just on the media or you people could write a petition and say this is what you observed from your state, but we are talking generally across the 774 local government in Nigeria and how the elections from now should be conducted, either by INEC or by SIEC. So the audience too, you can participate and give us your opinion on what you think should be done at the local level where State Independent Electoral Commission, in quote, independent, has not been independent in the real sense. So what is your take? The numbers are displayed on your screen, so you may continue.
By no means are we reducing this conversation to Benue State, no.
Yeah.
But we're making a general case study of what the Benue State election portends to happen. But I can even make references to a few elections that had happened in APC-controlled states.
Okay.
Take, for example, in Niger State. The biggest local government in Niger State was won by PDP.
Okay.
PDP won, opposition parties won, I think 2 or 3 local governments in Niger State.
Okay.
Go to Kaduna State, the same thing happened in Kaduna. PDP won Kaduna, a few local governments in Kaduna.
Yeah.
Go to Plateau State. Even in Plateau State, one of the local governments was won by PDP. What I'm saying is that when a governor comes out and makes a declarative statement that he is vouching that no other party other than his party, PDP, in the state will win an election, then we should call their attention. But when you ask the question, should it be only about the media? No. The truth of the matter is that, but then the media affords us the opportunity to be able to bring it to the fore. Okay. And so with what this is doing now, is that INEC has a media department that is supposed to monitor. Okay. The same thing with NBC and the rest of government agencies.
I think we have a call. Before we come to that, let me know whether this call is for us. Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You are on to TVN, and we are discussing whether INEC to conduct the elections across the local government or the state independent electoral commission. Your name and where you are calling from, please.
Yeah, my name is Comrade Ajibade. I'm calling from Lagos.
Okay, Comrade Ajibade from Lagos.
Yeah.
Okay, what is your take on
in the real sense, I would have loved to say INEC should conduct the government election. That is when total autonomy is applicable to the local governments.
Okay.
But actually, the Local Government Act, that is the Constitution establishing Local Government Act, has not changed. Therefore, says full autonomy. And in a situation where local government does not possess full autonomy, how do you expect the INEC to conduct? I could remember when the INEC conducted local government election 1999.
Okay.
When the governors came on board, they want to really have the grip of their local governments. Politics actually starts from local governments. Therefore, they have to reawaken State Independent Electoral Commission to be able, governor appoint whatever chairman or whoever is heading the state. Therefore, he has power to do and undo. You can imagine if in the PDP state, by the time they conduct local government elections, PDP will sweep all the local governments. Even if other opposition parties want, the same applicable to other parties.
Now, Comrade Ajibade,
yeah.
If you are hearing us, the Section 4 that established SIAC gave it two important rules. One, the monitoring and the conduct of local government elections, and two, the second rule the section gave to the SIAC is that all the political parties involved, the names of the aspirants and across parties, and the apolitical nature of the body itself must be presented before the Independent National Electoral Commission. I don't know whether that should be for approval, but it said it must be given to them for review. Now, that word review there, do you think that it empowers aspirants who are aggrieved or who have evidence against the SIAC, maybe for political affiliation, could petition or write to INEC to thwart the conduct of election at that state?
Well, I want to say review is not approval. Review is just to make sure that the SIAC have a correct data of a voting area that matches with that of INEC. INEC cannot interfere in SIAC affairs. So long as SIAC conducts local government elections, nobody can write petition to INEC. INEC cannot interfere into the affair. If you are not satisfied with whatever results the SIAC is bringing out, you go to tribunal.
All right. I think we've gotten your point of view. But what is your pick, your own personal take? Should INEC conduct local government polls henceforth, or the SIEC should continue? What is your take?
In actual sense, I said I want INEC to conduct local government polls, but that can never happen until the local government possesses full autonomy.
All right, thank you very much, Comrade Ajibade from Lagos. No,
I'm glad that you said that, because the truth of the matter is that, you see, we need to discuss this.
I want to ask you a question. You said full autonomy from the, that is, political autonomy must be given to the local government before they can have the power, to conduct their elections at the local level. Now, do you think that a presidential policy or an executive policy could give INEC that power to go ahead without the constitutional framework from the National Assembly? Again, another call. Don't forget the question. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You are on to Spectacle on Television Nigerian.
Yeah, this is Banacha calling from Gauchi.
Okay. And the topic on discussion: should INEC conduct local government polls henceforth, or state independent electoral commission? What is your take?
I've been following your program. As sincerely speaking, I think INEC should be the ones.
Sorry again. Your name and where you are calling from?
I'm Banacha calling from Gauchi, Abuja.
Okay, Comrade Acha from Gariki, Abuja.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that your guest has done justice to this question. The truth is that the INEC should be in charge of conducting these elections. And why we say so, like your guest has rightly said, once you have the state INEC, the state electoral committee conducting such elections, what we have are rubber stamps chairmen that have nothing to offer, chairmen that only go there and share money and replicate money back to the state government. But if we want to have a functional government, a functional local government, that can bring about development in the land, we must have a body that conducts, an independent body that conducts election for the local government that is free from the control of the state governor. I was hearing what your guest was saying about Benue State. It's rather unfortunate that the governor can make such a proclamation. Very, very unfortunate. And that is why you see that in fact what we have in Benue today is rather apologetic. So it's very important that INEC take control of the conduct of local government elections, so that we can start having good people, we can start having people with vision, people that are accepted by the people, and not the people that are being forced, on the people, all in the name of the governor, and I want to put my person there.
All right.
So that is my humble submission.
Oh, thank you, Comrade Acha from Gariki. He gave 2 points in addition to the question I asked you. He said it could pave way for financial embezzlement at the local level, that is an allocation meant for local government, and then underdevelopment also, because most of those chairmen or chairpersons will just be rubber stamped, selected, and written to the SIEC. Now, I say, could the presidential policy stand against the unconstitutionality of the National Assembly as regards this topic?
Executive order is as good as a law.
Yeah.
It is actually a fiat law.
Okay.
And so yes, it is something to base your judgment upon.
Okay.
And I can give you a quick example. The NFIU order, executive order, I think order 6 or so, of the President Muhammad Buhari, and we must thank him for doing that.
Okay.
The president has been magnanimous, and because he's a man who wants to see that development springs up from the local level, he came, and this is one thing that has eluded us for a long time, where there is no autonomy, and he has given, finally, through his executive order, he gave the local government the opportunity to have financial autonomy and independence with the monitoring order by the NFIU.
But the NFIU, are they look, policies, are they working?
You see,
the NFIU, are they monitoring the finance from the, and if the local government don't have political autonomy, the subjects, the chairpersons at the local level will still be stooges of the incumbent governor, as it may be.
So let me tell you what's happening. And the basic reason why, at the inception in 1999, that PDP decided that local elections for local government should be conducted by state governors was simple, for them to be able to have control. And what that simply means is that they feed fat from the largesse that comes to the local government. Because if you look at the reforms of the 1976, it gives the local government independence.
Yeah, absolute
independence.
Both political and
financial. And it also insulates it from even traditional interference.
Yes.
Now, but what
and
we
that
have
reform
done
was
now,
established by Obasanjo himself.
And what Obasanjo now came to do after was to hamstring the local government.
Okay, we have another caller on the line. Let's.
Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Spectacle on TV.
Call him back.
Oh,
Ajibade on the line.
okay, Ajibade again.
Yes.
Okay, you just have you have 1 minute to round up your summation.
All right. The issue of NFIU, the gentleman is talking about there. Let me just tell you, NFIU issue is just a monetary policy issue that has been in existence for long. It does not still give local government full autonomy. Let me tell you, in a situation whereby local government will get their full money and they will have to remit some certain amount back to the state government. So you see, local government need full autonomy in this country. Full autonomy.
What do you mean by full autonomy? Are you referring to political autonomy?
I said full autonomy, political autonomy. They should be separated totally from the state government, so that each chairman of local government can be answerable to people and to the anti-corruption agencies.
All right.
That is it.
And are you aware that some states will be conducting local government elections soon? And
yes, I'm aware.
Yeah, you talked about the law that has not been, perfect enough to stopping them. Do you think that the Inec or anybody or the president could stop them from conducting election at their state level?
Whosoever do such is contravening the law. Okay. To get this full autonomy, it requires the passage into the law of the 36 State House of Assembly. The 2/3 of House of Assemblies in Nigeria of the state, the 2/3 of the state assemblies in Nigeria must pass it into the law. That is what is affecting autonomy seriously now.
Have you, with respect to that, could Mr. President give a fiat policy to that regard? Hello, Comrade Ajibade.
Yeah, I'm here with you.
Do you think Mr. President have the power to give a fiat executive order for Inec to begin the conduct without, the constitutionality of the National Assembly?
No, I don't think Mr. President reserves such power. The Constitution must be revisited.
Okay.
And the State House of Assembly must sit on it and pass it. There must be 2/3 majority on it from the State Assembly, even before the Senate could give final approval then for Mr. President to assent his signature to it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ajibade, again for that summation.
You are welcome.
You're welcome. Now you heard him again.
So let me quickly react.
Okay,
let me quickly react because you're not allowing me to react.
Okay,
that's what you have done to me.
React.
The issue of
you just have 5 minutes to react.
The issue of all of this is that we have treated the third tier of governance in Nigeria to be of a lesser importance than the other two. We feel that the federal government and the state government are better than the local government. That's not true. Because the local government is the closest government to the people at the grassroots.
Okay.
And if you look at the statistics around Nigeria, 54% or 64% of Nigerians live at the rural areas. And that's where the local governments are, including even the urban centers are still part of the local government. So in actual fact, the local government is the most important arm of the government.
Yes.
However, what we have done is that we have muzzled that system. And that is why governors have usurped all the powers, because the monies that come to the local government eventually find their way back to the coffers of the governors. These governors take loans. I mean, we know what's happening in some of these states. They take loans, 80 billion naira, 50 billion naira, and then they stake the allocation of this local government for payments to the banks. And this is one of the things that EFCC and NFIU needs to look into, where a governor will go and take a loan from the bank, and then he will now ask the local governments that as money is coming, they are deducting it from the source.
Yeah, but
that cannot be acceptable in any part of the world. We shouldn't accept it.
EFCC or the NFIU stop that when the Constitution guarantees the governor to do so?
I agree with you that the EFCC does not have the power, but the EFCC has power to oversee any financial dealings. Yes, so if there is a law, and I agree with Ajibade that you cannot do anything right now until the law is passed. So my call right now is to who? To the National Assembly to do the needful, expedite action on what needs to be done as regards the law. Now they have identified what the problems are. Full autonomy is one of the things that the National Assembly is talking about. So they need to be full autonomy. So it's an all package together, so that you pass this law, take it to the national. And I'm glad that the Deputy Senate President said that before end of this month, they should have been done with that process. So they should take it to the state houses of assemblies. And make sure that these houses of assembly get a two-thirds of them, about 27 houses of assemblies.
What if it is not an executive legislative bill?
If it's not an executive order, it is an executive order that was emanated and then sent to the National Assembly. The National Assembly has legislated on it. So now all we need is for the states to tell the states of the state of assemblies to legislate on it and approve that this becomes a law. Because the truth of the matter is that until we do this, it will only be serving the interests of certain patrons in certain states.
So it was deliberately.
It is a deliberate attempt, and we must rise up against it.
All right, thank you very much. I think that is where we'll stop. That it means that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria needs urgent amendment, and the Electoral Act too, because certain aspects of the Constitution gives autonomous power to incumbent governors or sitting governors to usurp, their powers against the local government administration in Nigeria. And this is why Spectacle today is unveiling some facts to the populace and to the Nigerian government to do the needful if it really wants to revamp development at the rural area, which is the closest tier to the people, which is the local government areas in Nigeria. Thanks for watching, and I think you can drop your comments, your opinion, and your take on our social media platform by following us in all the social media platforms that we have. TVN is the handle. At TV Nigeria is the Twitter handle. On Instagram is the TV Nigerian. And on Facebook, we are Television Nigerian. So follow us and give us your take as to whether Inec is to conduct local government elections or state independent electoral commission. I've been your host, Daniel Atai, and thanks for watching. Welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigeria. I am your host, Daniel Atai.